Yeah. So, hello everyone, and welcome to the next episode of In Conversations with. Our today's guest is an eminent Indian screenwriter who has written films like Shakuntala Devi, the most recent Rocky or Rani Ki Prem Kahani, about which we are going to talk today, and has not only worked in films but in other mediums like television serials as well as documentary films too. Welcome, ma'am. It is a pleasure to have you with us over here. How are you doing?
I'm so happy to be sitting here and chatting with all of you, and it's just so wonderful to see the enthusiasm that you all have for cinema. It's like the perfect combination between left brain and right brain. So I'm as excited to know what questions you all have to ask.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for those kind words. So before I actually go into Rocky or Rani, I would like to ask you about like what exactly inspired you to become a writer and a little bit of your backstory about how you ended up in this film industry.
I think I always wanted to be a writer. I had identified my writing talent pretty when I pretty early on when I was a kid in school.
Yes.
Even though I studied science like most of you, but finally after 12th standard, I kind of realized that it'll just be a waste of my time to do this. I had bio and computers actually, so
Okay.
my one option was to sit for pre-medical tests
Yes.
and the other was to just follow my heart. And my parents were very supportive, and I
Yes.
managed to. I sat for all these exams for journalism because I didn't know what kind of writer I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I assumed it was journalism.
Yes.
Uh, so I studied journalism and then I studied mass comm. I did my master's in mass comm.
Yes.
So I think I gradually figured that it was screenwriting and it
Okay.
wasn't like writing a book or it wasn't writing articles. I knew that it was to do, I wanted to be a writer, but what kind of writer I wanted to be, sort of over my education of 5 years, I slowly um, sort of
Okay.
figured out.
All right. So, like, was there any particular film which kind of which film or any series which you saw which made you like made you sure about the fact that you want to write, like you want to do screenwriting and not, let's say, theater writing or any other form of visual medium?
I think I was doing an internship with Outlook magazine while I was studying journalism,
Yeah.
and there I was an intern in the features department. So
Yes.
by chance, I was getting to do film-based stories.
Okay.
So I realized that even though I enjoyed film journalism, also honestly, even that was really fun. But while I was doing those stories, I was getting more and more drawn to the lives of the writers and what they were at that time. I'm talking about like a while ago. So at that time,
Yes.
films like when I was in college, there were films like Dil Chahta Hai and everything.
Yeah.
I was
2003 and that time.
yeah. 2000, yeah, 2003, 4, 5, 6. While
Yes.
so there were a lot of interesting new age type of films being made.
Yes.
Just when I was finishing school, there was Lagan.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these were films that I really enjoyed watching, and I could see that something was changing. I saw Laksh. I really enjoyed watching Laksh at that time.
Yes.
K3G. I love K3G.
Yeah. 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 Like we will be talking about that. That's influence
So
in Rocky Rani too.
yeah,
So,
the K3G has a deep impact on my entire life. So I feel like all those films that were happening, they were so different from each other, but they were also entertaining, and I could see that
yes.
it was a different type of cinema, not the 80s kind of films that we used to. I mean, it was something that I could connect with, and I knew that
Yes.
there must be people who are writing and making these films who are more or less the kind of people that I would like to hang with.
Yeah. 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 Yes.
So then I decided to study it because I have nobody in my family has ever done
This.
anything to do with the movies. Honestly, I'm from a completely army family, military background. Everybody in my family has served in the army or air force.
Yes.
So I needed to study it before I knew if this is something that was up my alley. And I mean, more and more I did it as I studied and I watched more films and I met more people. I knew that this is
Yeah.
my space.
Yeah. So like it was eventually figuring it out that this is what I kind of want to do, and not just one incident which kind of changed the
No,
entire
not
thing.
one. Yeah, it was a time in my life. It wasn't like
Yes.
any one incident.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
then, what was your like your first writing job? Like, since like you told that you were already interning, but like, let's talk about films. Like, what was your first screenwriting
When I moved
job?
to Bombay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
all
how was it like? Like, you must have had some expectations from your experiences before, and how was it different from what you had expected?
it was It was very different actually, because there is, I mean, I think it is important to educate yourself also,
Yes.
even if you don't have any formal education in, like I was fortunate enough to have had training in
Yeah.
Mascom, but even if that is not happening, there are enough books, and there are enough courses that one can do even online.
Yes.
Uh,
Nowadays, like there are many courses online.
yeah, you can do a lot online at in. I mean, when I was a student, this option wasn't there. I mean,
Yes.
maybe it was, but it wasn't as popular.
Yeah.
So remote teaching used to not happen. I know that
Yeah.
YouTube was there, but it was more for just like content.
Yeah. 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 Cat videos
Yeah.
at that time.
So, so I feel like this it really helps the education, but practically it's very different. So there are things that you only learn on the job and when you are actually part of something.
Yes.
So both are important, I feel.
Yes.
Um, and though there are lots of people who are into films who've just trained and assisted people and they haven't got any formal training, but I feel like now that there is an option, if somebody is interested, then they can of course do some online classes that
Yes.
uh, will definitely benefit them.
Yeah.
So it was, so my first, coming back to your question, um, again when I moved to Bombay, I got an internship with Nadiadwala and Grandson.
Oh yeah, the production. Yes, my dear Bala grandson.
But the first real writing job where I felt like I was doing something, there were two actually that happened simultaneously where I was learning on the job. One was, both were actually television. One was Yashraj Television.
Yes.
Yashraj was starting out. They made a few boutique television shows that were sold to Sony Entertainment
Okay.
TV at that time, like Powder and Mahi Way. And so there
Yes.
was one show called Khote Sikke.
Okay.
So I was part of the writing team of Khote Sikke.
All right.
So, and then there was another show called Left Right Left, because of my army background, something किसी तरह से मुझे मिल गया था.
Yes.
That was also on Sony. So those were, it was both on TV. So these
Yeah.
are the two first few things that I honestly was working on, and it was very, I learned a lot. It was really
Yes.
interesting.
So, like you actually told a very interesting thing that it is important to have some kind of an academic learning, like necessary, like if there are courses and everything available. And if I am especially talking about something like screenwriting, so there is a particular format, at least in the internet as and in YouTube,
Yes.
like there is like interior, this. So like in like we all actually have this kind of this question. Then in reality, let's say for a film like Rocky or Rani Ki Prem Kahani or any of these Bollywood movies, is like what is the exact writing
It's
process like?
exactly what it is. It does. We use
Yes,
something called Final Draft.
yeah, that software, Final
Yes,
Draft and
yes,
everything. So
yes. And so everything is, there is a scene heading, there is a how you see a script.
yeah,
Uh, no matter where in the world now, there is a
yes,
particular format that is
yeah,
followed, and it really helps you because with Final Draft, like say for example, if you're doing a location breakdown for
yeah,
shoot,
yeah, 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 yeah.
you can just take all the scene headings and you know what all is in the same. It's
Yes,
much easier to sort out stuff. The names of, for example, if I want to just change one character to someone else, if I want to
yes,
do dual dialogue, like where people are
yeah,
talking over each other, it's something that helps even assistants logistically
yes,
later when the script is done and when they're preparing for shoot in the pre-production days. So we all use that, but that is the easiest part of it. Now, software
yeah,
anybody can pick up and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
anyone can learn how to use the software. That is the easiest part. But I'm what I mean is learning the craft,
yeah.
and for that you need to. I mean, it is good to have some training.
Okay,
So I'm saying what I mean is about the craft of screenwriting. So it will help you. I think what I find is most people are muddled about what is story, what is screenplay, what is
yeah,
dialogue. So how do you pitch something? How do you build something from scratch? How do you think about characters?
yes,
There are these basic fundamental questions that people who want to begin writing
yeah,
have. And I feel like if they do a screenwriting 101 type course, I mean,
yeah,
even I mean, of course, if you can study more, there are many places where you can. But if this is something that interests you, then it's good to at least see something online, read some
yeah.
books. There are many books on screenwriting that are available.
Yes, yes, yes. Like the like Sid Fields and everything. Like those are very popular.
But you will only understand that once you have a basic understanding of what those things are, and then move on to the books, and
Yes,
then you can start writing and see. And if it's still something that interests you, then of course you can assist someone, and
Yes.
you can start with writing short format stuff.
Yeah, like short films and kind of thing.
Hmm.
So like you have also written for television as well as for film. So like, what is the difference in the
I've
approach
written
for?
for OTT also. I've
Yeah,
written
like yeah, OTT is like, but like my the reason I'm asking this question is that we have been hearing a lot for a long time that these TV serials really don't like they write the screenplays and then it is short. Like there is not any particular end to it as compared to OTT, which is let's say a series which is having like let's say around 8 to 10 episodes, and a film which is in a format of 2 to 3 hours. Let's say. So, what is the difference in your approach in writing
This is
the
the
different
difference actually,
formats?
because one is finite, exactly 120 pages. I mean,
Yeah.
scripts are mostly lesser than 120 pages.
Okay.
So we aim for it to be a little lesser, between 110 to 120 pages. A series is much bigger than that, of course. Like let's say it's an 8 episode season arc,
Yes.
then it'll be, if it's a 45-minute episode, then the page count will be about 36 to 37 pages.
Yes.
So you'll have to, I mean, do the math. It is that
Yes.
much,
Yes. Yes.
and more than that also, because first we have our Bible and everything. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
writing
Yeah. Yeah.
before the episodic writing takes place. But for a TV show, it is different because it's not finite. Because if it's a successful TV show, then people want to watch it for thousands of episodes.
Yes.
They don't
Exactly.
stop. So I don't know if there is a show called Anupama, which is
Yeah. Yeah.
running
Yeah.
now.
Yes.
It's been running for
Even
years and years
yes.
and years.
Like Tarak
And
Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma is also like
yes,
that.
and even CID, it ran for
Yes.
years, like 20
Yes.
years, I think.
Yeah. It was 21 years, I think. Yes. It was for
Yeah.
21 years.
So TV is different. When people love TV, then it's like a habit. It's like a dinner habit. It's like
Yeah.
something that the family does together every day. And they just want it every day, more and more and more and more. They don't want to actors might change who are playing the part,
Yes.
but the
Exactly.
show remains.
Yes.
So you have to understand the psychology of not just the medium, but also the audience and what they want from that. They
Yes.
want that comfort viewing, they want that habit.
Yes.
So I think at that time you have to make sure that, and even writers come and go. Nobody can 21 years कोई एक इंसान नहीं कर
Yeah.
सकता.
Exactly.
So it's like a relay, right? Like a lot of people behind the scenes and even in front of it, the camera would have come and gone, come and gone. But
Yeah.
CID as a show is the same show that you must have seen in
Yes.
2008. It's the same. 2014. It's the same. 2020. It's the same.
Exactly.
As
Exactly.
writers, you have to understand what is that core essence of the show, and you have to make sure that you have that. Like I can't write CID and go and think कि मैं अभी इसके अंदर नार्कोस बना दूंगी.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
even if I give people narcos, they will be like, no, I want Daya Darwaza Tod Do. I want CID, because they came to see
Yes.
CID. If they want to see narcos, they will watch another show.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to make sure that you understand the essence of that, what people love about the characters. So it is very different the way that you approach something like this.
Yeah.
And in films and series, like I said, you already know there's a beginning and an end. In series, you get a little bit more time to delve into the characters. Like in FOMO shots, we have 4 characters, and we are able
Yes.
to give every character her due and her
Yes.
proper track. In a film, maybe we wouldn't have been able to, and it would have been maybe two people that would have been focused on more than the other.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that is something that is possible with a longer format, which is something that we're able to do in FOMO shots, for example.
Yes. So, like, personally, like, again, this is like a kind of a choice, but like, is there any one particular format which you enjoy writing the most among TV or OTT or for films? Like, which is your most preferred kind of, or like, is there any
I enjoy
format?
writing both films and OTT,
Okay.
both. But I feel like the joy of seeing your name in a dark theater
Yes. Yeah.
is the biggest joy of all. Even
Yes.
though my show was nominated, matlab FOMO Shots has given me a lot. It was nominated for an Emmy Award in
Yeah.
2020.
Exactly.
In fact, my Facebook told me it was exactly 3 years ago. I just
Yeah.
got a reminder today. Exactly 3 years ago, it was nominated at the International Emmys. So it's been watched by people and loved by people all over the world, and we've
Yes.
been able to tell the stories of these girls for uh, 3 seasons.
Yeah.
But I feel like when there is a film, and like for Rocky or Rani, like just watching it in the theater with the audience, because
Yeah.
when I'm watching my show, I'm watching it alone and I'm imagining what people are.
Yes.
Of course, people are DMing me and they're tagging me and everything, so I know. But it's not the same experience as sitting in a theater full of people and
Yeah.
watching them laugh and watching them cry. And so that,
Yeah.
as a creator of anything, you feel very good and heartened when you are able to experience that joy. So I think in terms of that joy, films are uh,
Yes.
topmost. But I enjoy writing OTT a lot as well.
Yeah, so like before I also move on to my next question, firstly, congratulations on the for 3 years of Emmy nomination, and
Thanks.
also I have to say that Rocky or Rani Ki Prem Kahani has to be one of the best films I saw this year. Like I remember going it with my family, and all of them had an absolutely amazing time. It was like after so long, like that quintessential Bollywood film kind of a thing, which is called. We saw, and it was amazing. So, like, now tell us like about how Rocky and Rani started. Like, because just before that, even in interviews, Karan sir said that he was actually supposed to direct Tak, but then this movie was announced. So, can you tell us a little bit about that and how the team got together and what exactly
Yes,
happened?
so he had this. He obviously was making tux, but that was before the
Yeah.
pandemic, and then the world shut
Yes.
down, and it was not possible. So he had this idea that he wanted to do a rom com because he knew that, I mean, matlab, it was totally the antithesis to Takt, actually, in a way.
Okay.
It was a very different kind of film, and
Yes.
so then he had this idea and he started developing it. And then I mean, all of us came together over the next few years. It took us a while. We started shooting the film in 2022, I think 21.
Okay.
So that was also in the middle of the pandemic, honestly.
Yes, yes. I remember like the announcement video released in April of
Yeah,
2021, I think,
yeah.
and then it
We
got.
started shooting in August, 31st August, I think, 30th August, something like that, like in 21. That was still very much in the middle of COVID. I feel like it was the experience of writing. It was really good because this was a happy film. It was
Yes.
it was a film that made me go back home and write jokes and write funny things. And I always would have a smile on my face when I was writing.
Yes.
And the world outside was so bleak and dark, and especially with the Delta wave and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
before Omicron, like it was in 2021, so many things were happening outside
yeah,
that
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, it was a very terrible and dark time that we all were living through. And here, the opportunity, when you're writing a film, then you sort of go into that zone. So you
Yes.
are able to, I mean, even if there is bad news everywhere, I have to find the humor and I have to find the Rocky in me to write those
Yeah,
lines.
yeah, yeah.
So
Yes.
it makes you, it forces you into going into a happy space.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it was amazing for me at that time. And yeah, and later during the when it was being shot, that time I was pregnant.
Yes.
So it was also a film that gave me many good things, including like my baby happened during the course of this
Oh,
film.
wow.
Uh, so yeah, it was a blessing, honestly.
So, like, what was like one of the? I am sure there have been many challenges, but like for Rocky, for a film like Rocky or Rani Ki Prem Kahani, what was the most challenging part as in the creative writers' room, which you all faced or which you personally faced while writing that film?
For me, challenging. I think as a dialogue writer, and also I've also co-written the story and screenplay.
Yes.
It was Rocky's cancel culture monologue. I
Oh
want
my, that was great.
about everything, and
Yes.
at the same time, it should not be like a checklist. It should
Yes.
be emotional, but it can't just be emotional. It has to be funny because Rocky's saying it, so you can't
Yeah.
lose his rockiness.
Yeah.
So it a lot of things had to be sort of maintained and balanced whilst writing that piece. So for me, that was like the day I finished writing that, I was like, now, ab ho jayega.
So like in the film, like it is when that monologue scene is happening between Totara Chaudhary and Ranveer Singh. Was it like is it the full thing which is there, or while writing was it an even a longer monologue which was
First
done?
draft was slightly longer, but this is how it was eventually.
Yes.
And it is, and mostly it was supposed to be a long scene because first he
Yeah.
was also going to come and tell him what he felt and what he went through with his father. When
Yes.
he's a dancer, it's obviously not the first time that he's being shamed.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it was supposed to be a scene where where both men take center stage and men share their feelings and talk about their feelings.
Yes.
But he says it in a very different way from Rocky.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It
Exactly.
was a big scene. It was a dialogue heavy big scene, and I really actually I enjoyed writing all of it, including the lines. spoken by Tota Roy Chaudhary.
Yeah, so like there is also a very beautiful line that Tota Rachudi says that hunar ka koi gender nahi hota, and then Rocky actually starts bursting out that but
Hasa.
I also want to know that this is like normally till that moment, even while we were watching the film in theater, it was as if we thought that after this Rocky will just like kind of say that I'm very sorry and just resolve it, but the entire opposite thing happened. He also shared his pains and why he was getting cancelled. So I actually also again kind of going back on this, like where did this idea come from that because this is one of the very rare times where we as an audience are hearing both the parts, and
Yeah,
both of them are justified
the point
kind
of
of
the
a thing.
film. The whole point of the film is that celebrate your differences. Don't just like we as a people have become so quick to judge
Yeah.
each other. And the idea is that there are different types of people, and everybody has an opinion that is different from yours.
Yes.
And the film's tagline is celebrate the differences.
Yeah.
So it is that is what it is about. So this is and Rocky and Ronnie Rani have very different viewpoints on
Yes.
everything.
Correct.
But and their viewpoints don't actually change. It is just that they learn how to accept the other person and respect the other person and their viewpoint because they have love and they understand that other person is also. It's about the intention of the other person
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
to rise above the differences.
Correct.
So I guess like it was always that was the main mudda of the film. So it
Yes.
plays out everywhere between any two characters. From I mean, whenever anybody from the Chatterjee household comes to face with anyone from the Randhawa household, that central conflict always plays out
Yes.
because eventually it is about them, all of them, uh, rising above the
Yeah.
differences.
They're different. So like what are like I know there has been a lot of like a lot of people have been finding references to older films, but like now that you have written this film, can you tell us about the older movies from which this film pays homages to or it gets inspired from? Like we know about K3G, but like is there any one particular thing about which we as an audience we are not exactly aware about?
ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं है. I think everything has been discussed threadbare. Like every it's the whole film, like that entire
Yes.
section in the middle where there is that medley with
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and Dharmendra and G. It is all of that is. I mean, every song there,
Yes.
or whether it is how he Suno Suno Miss Chatterjee.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That is actually a real film called Baharein Phir Bhi Aayingi. It's that song is picturized on Johnny Walker.
Okay.
And, so there are many references right from the music to um, the lines to the characters. It's just all over because and it is designed that way because I think
Yes.
it was we wanted it to be like a love letter to Hindi films.
Yes, and it was a love letter to the to Hindi films, to be very honest. So
Yeah.
and also like you were not the only writer in the film. So there were two more writers, and of course Karan sir was also involved. So I am like, how did you actually manage to resolve creative differences if it arised within in the writers' room?
I think ऐसा कुछ था नहीं. And then secondly we have the it's all about the director's vision.
Okay.
It's about eventually it is the way that he sees the film because he's the one who's going to make the film.
Okay.
And you have to on every project eventually you have to the director is the one person that everyone has to align with. We all have to come on board
Yeah.
and see the film in the way that the director wants us to see the film because each script can be interpreted in a different way and can be treated in a different way.
Yes.
If this film was made by Wes Anderson it would have been a totally different film.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you have to so what he wants eventually and the way he sees the film is the way that we all not just the writing department but every department of the film
Okay.
are geared towards.
And how is it working with Karan sir? Like, so like, what is the a typical day in set? Like, what was it like? A
It's really
typical day.
great. It's really great. He's a very funny, very intelligent person. He's a very generous person, and there's always very good food. And there are cakes and like tarts and like really good food all around him. And it's just the atmosphere is really chilled out. He's a very chilled out person, so there's no stress, and anyone can offer their opinion, and if it's good, he'll take it on board. It's not, people are not like, I mean,
Yes.
shivering around. I feel like that ease of doing business
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
think percolates down to the last person on set, and I think
Yeah.
that's what you need for a creative process. To be honest, I
Correct.
mean, you need um, like some ideas might be good, some might be bad, but you need to have the power to dream, and that only comes when there is ease and a stress-free environment created, which he's a
Yes.
champion at doing. So
Yeah.
that is not just on this film, entire Dharma Productions is like that. It's
Okay.
really very chilled out, and everyone is it's a happy place.
Yes, and again, this is kind of coming to the writing side of the, like, from a very story perspective, that a film like Rocky or Rani Ki Prem Kahani, like it as an audience, at least that's what many of us felt, and even I also personally felt that I know that this world doesn't exist, but at the same time, I am able to so much connect with it that it almost feel like that Rocky is my friend. Like I want to be best friends with Rocky Randhawa. Like at least I felt in that way. That it's such a chilled out guy, but at the same time I know that something like this, it's very less of a chance to happen in real life. So in for the past few years in our Hindi film industry or in other film industry also, there have been a lot of complaint that the world is very different and the audience is not being able to connect to it. So how did you actually manage to make sure that like this film is larger than life? It is, it's colorful and it's something which might not happen in reality, but at the same time everybody is liking it and connecting with those characters. So like, is there any some sort of secret
This
sauce or
is
like?
Karan Johar's secret sauce. Because he's able to do this, he's able to create these large sets and these larger than life people, and yet make them so real and so relatable. None of us will ever live in houses like that. None of
Yes.
us will wear clothes like that.
Yeah.
But when the father and the son have that moment, the entire audience is weeping.
Correct. Exactly.
He's able to do this, and I don't know of too many people who can do what he can, like to just keep it larger than life and aspirational.
Yeah.
I was just watching this documentary called The Romantics with
Yeah. And yes. Yes.
Yash
Such films.
and Yashraj films, and they talk about how Yashji wanted to show an aspirational India and to his countrymen. He
Yes.
always wanted to make them dream कि इससे भी अच्छा हो सकता है, इससे भी अच्छा हो सकता है. Dream for a
Dream big.
better life. Dream big. So I feel like it's the same thing, and uh, you're able to do that, but you're able to tell intimate stories even despite the larger than life juxtaposed with this, with these aspirational characters and this scale.
Yeah.
So it's quite admirable, honestly. Like and that's why it also takes you right. We're at a time when we're looking for a theatrical experience, right? And we don't know. I mean, it can't just be action.
Yes.
It can't just be like, I mean, people coming down from helicopters and shooting each other.
Yeah.
So what else could it be? It could also be something that is larger than life and yet is talking to you in an intimate way, like a friend would talk to a friend.
Yes.
We have to find, earlier it wasn't, we didn't have this problem where we didn't know if people think. Now people are considering everything. Now, is this a film that I would like to go watch in the theater, or should I wait and watch it at home?
Yeah.
So to draw the audiences in, also you need to stand out as a particular kind of movie. So I feel like Rocky Rani was still a clutter breaker in that regard, because it's not an action film that people, action film, big event film, franchise film, people will go and watch because they enjoy it. It's like it's fun to watch it on the big screen, to watch things blow up. It's not as fun
Yes.
to watch it at home.
Yes.
This is a story that is an intimate, warm kind of story, but still, I think the treatment and the dancers and the dhindora bajere,
Yeah.
the scale and the grandeur of it made it a theatrical experience.
Yes.
So I think it's all kudos to him, to Karan.
That, like, and it was actually a theatrical experience, especially those, like as you said about the Jindora Bajer, and before that scene when Dola Re Dola, like when Tota Rochodi and when we sing dance, like
Yeah, that
the
was so
entire
wonderful.
theater erupted. Like it's a kind of.
I've seen it in the theater a few times because like all my friends and family insisted that I watch it with them. So, and every theater I went to in different parts of Bombay, like when the two men started doing Dola Re Dola, they were just like, it was just joy and just so much
Yeah.
clapping, and it's so wonderful the way these guys have done it. Like just how, and their Kathak is so graceful, both of them.
Yes. Yes, yes, and so like these dance sequences and everything, those were all written in the
Yeah, yeah,
script,
this
or
was written into the script.
there was nothing any like was there any scene which was completely improvised, which we as an audience don't know about?
No, there was nothing that was complete. This was all part of the screenplay. Like there were improvisation happens in a few lines and everything, but not.
Okay.
ये पुराने जमाने में ऐसे होता था कि पूरा सीन इन्वेंट कर लिया ऐसे
Yeah, 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 yeah.
ऐसा नहीं होता है अभी.
No, no,
When
it's
you
not
make
like
a set like that, just like that, it takes you
yes.
know, days and days and days of hard work.
And
Of,
so like these characters also like did you while you were writing these characters like Rocky Randhawa, Rani Chatterjee, so did you know the actors, like did you know that Rocky Randhawa is going to be played by Ranveer Singh, so you kind of made some changes in the character to better suit him, or was it the entire?
it was always it was always known to me because when Karan had met me for the first time for the film, he told me that this will be Rocky and this will be Rani. So I
Okay.
just wrote with their faces in mind and can't imagine anyone else, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, even we can't imagine because
Yeah.
the way they have pulled it off. It's
It
so
is really they became like matlab it was both the characters are now an extension of who these people are.
yeah. Exactly. And just before I move to the audience question, so like any tips or the tricks for upcoming writers who are also watching this in YouTube and over here, who want to actually break into the film industry, and what they should do,
Like
especially
I
for
said,
somebody like yeah, so just courses and
just go and do something, at least do an online course to get an understanding of things. Start reading books on screenwriting and then assist someone.
yeah,
See if or start and once that is done, then you can start writing something in short format. First try a short film or I mean even a little thing for YouTube is fine. Beginning, middle and end. See how it is received. After that you can start writing something in an episodic format. I mean, slowly, you'll know what you're good at because screenplay and dialogue are also two different beasts. So you have to know
yes,
your strengths. You have to see which genre you are good at. Everybody cannot be good at everything. So
yes,
these things take time, and education always helps, no matter what you're doing.
yeah.
Uh, so that's what I would say.
Yeah. Well, thank you, ma'am. And with that, I will be also moving to the audience questions. So if you guys are having any questions, you can raise your hand. And apart from that, I'm having a few questions who people who have already submitted before. So I will first read that out, or you can also type it in the chat box. Apart from that, if you want to ask ma'am yourself, you can just raise your hand. I'm just going. That's fine. Yeah. So
There are 26, no, Chani, not 26 questions. Do I have to see the questions or
no,
you?
no, no. I will be reading out to them, or they will be raising their hands. So like I will be reading out to them.
Okay.
So
If they raise their hands, and then please put on your camera also because
yeah,
then
yeah,
I
yeah.
can see who you are.
Yeah. So so okay. So this is a very interesting question. This is from Aditya Mohan Srivastava. His question is, how do you safeguard scripts and recordings during the early stages to prevent leaks?
Yeah, so we have something called the Screenwriters Association. So
Okay.
we register everything there. And before you pitch even a two-pager or a five-pager, please don't pitch anything to anyone over the phone. If you have to pitch something to someone, please put it on mail at least because the mail can, there's always a trail.
Yeah.
And but so the Screenwriters Association has memberships for associate writers where you don't, even if you've not written anything, you will still be able to get a membership. And then there is fellow and then there are regular, so there is three forms of membership. But what that does is that it will give you a registration number, so register your work.
Okay.
And they will take even a one page synopsis also can be registered, even a song can be registered, an entire script can be registered, 10 pages can be registered. So before you share your material with anybody, just have, I mean, once that is there, then you're safe. Then if there is any dispute legally or any way, there is always proof that you wrote it
Yes.
first.
Yes. So the next question is from Vishal Singh. His question is, does the Indian audience prefer happy ending?
I don't know. I do. I prefer it because, like I said, I don't know if I'm a transformed person after the pandemic, and there has just been so much devastation and death and everything that I feel like I personally look forward to watching. I used to watch like dark stuff earlier, but now I don't feel like it. I just feel like watching something happier, and I find myself drawn to stuff like Ted Lasso, for example, on Apple TV,
Yeah.
or even Schitt's Creek. I saw so much of Schitt's Creek in all the
Yes.
seasons during the pandemic. And even like I personally prefer it, but that is my personal. I mean, there is no one, or the audience is not a monolith.
Yeah.
So no one. I can't answer for everyone that exists in the world, but I do. But then again, I'm also changing. Everyone is changing forever, so I might have a different answer for you after 10 years.
The next question is from Rinal, and that is: do you think it has become tougher for the newcomers because of the corporatization of the whole structure, or what would you suggest for the process of pitching to anyone in the film industry?
I think it's not tough. Actually, it's easy. I don't even know how it used to be before, but I feel like I prefer it when I know that there is a development team, there is a company, there are these five people that are taking submissions for material, that are reading, that I'm emailing to. I prefer it like that because then it's a very clear way of a line of communication. I
Yes.
don't know how it used to be, but like किसी को जाके कहानी सुनाना वनाना whatever, and I don't know. Like I mean, there's a lot of trust deficit. This is
Yeah.
much better. And I also, we one more thing for aspiring writers, there are talent management agencies
Okay.
which are working in Bombay in a very big way. So if you sign up with them, then they will also introduce you to other production houses. And if somebody needs a young writer and they think that your work is good, then they will put you in touch with people. So you will be able to meet a lot more people than you would do through your personal network. Of course, you have to give them a commission when you get work, but that is how
Yes.
any management agency works. But if you're new, there is that one thing. Number two, if you're new and you have any talent, right now you have your mobile phone with you.
Yeah.
So if you put out anything, like I mean, if you see all the creators like Prashasti Singh and Kusha Kapila and
Yeah.
everything, uh, they are doing. I mean, they all came into our consciousness because of the work that they've been doing from their home.
Yes.
Now, you know, they are doing so much. So you have that also. Like if you're talented, I don't think anything can stop you, but your own attitude.
Yeah.
You have to get up and work every day and not take anything lightly.
Yes. The next question is from Prithviraj. I think it is specific to Rocky or Rani Ki Prem Kahani, and that is we already talked about this in creative differences. But is there any? Was there any one particular scene where like where someone in the team wanted to change, but you personally didn't want to make that change happen in the script?
No, there was nothing like that, honestly, in this film because it was all we knew the gender politics of this film right from the beginning. So everything was in that direction. The second half is entirely that, right? Like it is about masculinity,
Yes.
and so we knew what we had signed up for. So everybody was aligned on that.
Thank. And the last question is from Anubhav, and that is in this digital era where book readers are decreasing day by day, what are the channels for a new writer to make his work to be seen? Like just as a writer.
As an author, you mean?
Yeah, yeah, as an author, right? Like as an author. Right?
I don't know if book readers are, I mean, physical book maybe, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that there are no readers. They just read it on a different, they are reading it on their Kindles and they're reading it on their phones. They are hearing it on Audible.
Yeah.
So maybe they're not reading physical books the way we used to, but that
Yes.
doesn't stop you from writing because they will read you in a different way. Um, and I don't know. I mean, if there are still like I think that actually, if you write something, sorry, and publish it even as a blog or whatever, it will reach a lot more people now thanks to technology than it would have when it was just a book that you wrote somewhere and there were that many copies printed unless it did really well, right?
Yes.
So don't let that idea stop you. I mean, there are readers. There's always going to be people who are readers, who are painters, who are seekers, and who want to enrich their life through art.
Yes. And with that, I think we also come to the end of the audience segment. And like, thank you, ma'am, so much for your time and joining us today. I hope that you had a great time with us. And thank you guys for joining. Like, okay, okay. I think we
There
have
is a
one more question. Okay, yeah, Nandini, you can go ahead. Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. Hi, Shashwat. It's just that I won't be turning on my camera right now, but
okay.
I would love to, interact with you.
Yes.
It's less about the writing thing, but like more on an opinion about gender politics and stuff.
Hmm.
In the sense that, okay, I absolutely loved Rocky and Rani. It was a breath of fresh air, like, seeing a movie like that after a long time. But there was this one thing that I just kind of didn't understand, probably, like, and I would love to know your opinion on that. So there was this scene in the Dhan Lakshmi ad controversy, right?
Hmm.
Wherein there was a role reversal in the roles of like men and women. What I felt like, as a writer also, that okay, like maybe both men and women should have been involved in that scene, like in the change, like wherein everybody is involved in household duties and all, but it was like a complete role reversal.
Hmm.
So like would like to know your opinion about that. I hope I was clear in my
Yeah, yeah.
question.
I think the idea, the goal eventually is to lead to a place where everyone shares the load, because women are working outside, but they're also working at home. It's not just like, if you see, any home is largely, again, I'm generalizing here, there might be people in whose homes it works differently, but mostly, like, even if you're a doctor or I mean, you're working very hard outside doing whatever you're doing, but the running of the home and everything, somehow, aaj kya banega, this question is asked to a woman only, it's never asked to the man. So the idea was that, in this, because this is such an extreme position where Dhanlakshmi is coming from, she is like that and her house is run in that way. So that's why when Rani suggests this, it's very pissing off for her. It's it is like
Yes.
the absolute ulta of her life's, everything that she stands for. But in real life, like, once Rocky and Rani move into their own house after they've gotten married, 100% they will both be sharing all the duties, and they will both be sharing all the responsibilities and everything, uh, the load of running the house, for sure. It's so this is why it was written like that. And also there were some scenes later jo cut gaye eventually, where this is also coming from her seeing how in Tijori is just sits and always orders, mujhe ye de do, mujhe wo de do, mujhe wo de do, and the mother is just hopping on one foot, giving everything. um, and she actually tells her कि वो मतलब एक तरफा है आपका, द इट्स लाइक सेवा इज द ग्रेटेस्ट थिंग इन द वर्ल्ड, बट एक तरफा सेवा को गुलामी कहते हैं. So it is coming from that, what she
Right, right.
also in the house. But of course, like, eventually the goal is for people to, like, share everything and see each other not as a gender but as human beings, I guess.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Nandini, for your question. And guys, if you have any questions, you can actually raise your hand.
Yeah,
So
please.
you can otherwise because all the questions which were in the audience round. So I have asked them or if you want to, you can go ahead. Otherwise, we can then end this one. I you can. I don't think anybody is. I mean, you guys can go ahead or if you even don't, if you are uncomfortable in unmuting yourself, you can just write it. I can read it. I don't think then anybody is having. Well, thank you so much, ma'am, once again for joining today, and I hope that you had a good time with us. And we are very grateful that you joined us today, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad to see your interest in films, and best of luck in your studies. And also, I hope at least some of you also become filmmakers and writers.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It means a lot.